The first Super Bowl championship parade ever in Philadelphia, and it was everything you would have thought it would be, except the lead story on this show. Because as the buses were rolling down Broad Street, the San Francisco 49ers were making Jimmy Garoppolo the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. A 5-year deal worth $137.5 million that averages out to $27.5 million per year, and that is the most ever for an NFL player. Mike Garoppolo, one of the first to break the news, joining us now with Mike Silver, who as a Bay Area guy certainly knows this organization very well. Garoppolo, I'd like to start with you. How did this all go down?
It all went down because the 49ers wanted this done as soon as possible. And by the way, they haven't announced the deal. That could come either later tonight or tomorrow because it's not quite finalized. Still working out a couple of the final details. But they wanted it done to say, we found our guy. And we're going to show you that we found our guy because we're not even going to get to that franchise tag dance that the Redskins have been doing with Kirk Cousins. We want this done well in advance of that. And for Jimmy Garoppolo, he gets the chance to say, I'm the highest paid NFL player right now because once Kirk Cousins hits the free agent market, that number is going to get to $30 million per year with maybe about $100 million guaranteed over the first couple of years of the deal. So for Garoppolo, locks it in now, jumps over Matthew Stafford, gets his future security, and this team is ready to roll with its franchise quarterback.
It is a lot of money, Silver, especially for a guy who's only started 7 NFL games. Are they rolling the dice here?
Well, Lindsay, two things. One, they believe that this will be cheap, according to one source, in a couple of years, that it looks like a lot now, but that's the way the market is. But think of the symbolic, effect of this. Owner Jed York was criticized, and some would say rightfully, fired coaches 3 years in a row. Jim Harbaugh being the first of them, who'd been very successful. They now have stability. He gave 6-year deals to Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. John Lynch, a first-time GM with no experience. That was obviously a risk. And now they've found their quarterback, who, let's face it, they traded a second-round pick, and that seemed like a steal. And then he went out and balled. They played the Jaguars late in the season, maybe the best defense in football, and just eviscerated them. And I can't tell you the difference in excitement around that organization now. And the fans feel it. At that Jaguars game, late in the game, the Niners got the ball back, getting ready to put more points on the board. And I heard a chant, and I'm like, what are they chanting? They were chanting MVP, which, of course, was tongue-in-cheek. But I guarantee a lot of Niner fans are thinking that's a possibility next year, Lindsay.
Thank you, guys. Obviously, a lot of reaction to this from around the league, most notably from Mr. Garoppolo himself, who posted this picture on Instagram with the caption, mood. And I'm pretty sure that picture undersells the mood because, remember, this is a guy who was the 62nd pick in the 2014
Do I get credit for bringing him in the draft? That was my pick. Do I get credit?
How about that, Willie?
I think so.
I settled in to be Tom Brady's backup, never knowing if he would even get a shot. Only gets a shot because of Brady's Deflategate suspension. He plays well, he goes 2-0, and because of that showcase opportunity, has teams interested in trading for him, like the Niners, who ultimately ship a second-round pick to New England to pick him up last October. He sits for a couple of weeks, then he starts week 13, he wins, he plays well, he wins again, he plays well. He goes 5-0 to close out the season and gets $137.5 million to start for them moving forward.
Wow.
Willie McGinnis, the man who drafted him, as you just
saw.
saw.
Can I just say I need my 3% Jimmy G for getting
Right.
Real quick, Jimmy G. I'm proud of you.
3% will take care of a lot of
just 3
groceries. David Carr, are we all right with this deal?
Absolutely, we're all right with this. I mean, if you know you have a chance to have a quarterback for 5 years that's playing at the level that Jimmy's playing at, who cares if he played 7 games? I saw enough in the first game that he played in when he played against the Chicago Bears, and we'll show that a little bit later in the show. But this guy has everything that it takes to go out there and lead your football team. He took a pretty bad San Francisco 49er team and turned them into a pretty good football team towards the end of the year. It's the same guys. They didn't bring anyone else in. They just inserted a new quarterback that fits into Kyle's scheme perfectly. And for me, you don't have the drama that you have with Kirk Cousins, how they were in Washington the last couple of years. Is he going to be our guy long term? Is he not going to be our guy? They just went out and did it. And John Lynch has made moves like this ever since he got there. So I'm super excited about it. I know it's a small sample size, and I totally get that. But at the same time, he's a fantastic player. You got him.
Yeah,
What do you think?
It is a small sample size. And let's just take Jimmy G. First of all, congratulations. I love to see players get paid. But let's just take Jimmy G out of the mix and just focus on a quarterback position. It's amazing to me to say that this is what the market dictates, regardless of your sample size, regardless of your production, regardless of what you've done, Super Bowls, whatever you want to classify it, that you can go out and be the highest paid player in NFL history, according to what we have. Some of the greatest football minds, the GMs that say this game, say it takes at least 25 games to see if a guy is going to be consistently the guy you think he is. And I know because of his skill set, because of what he's seen and how he uplifted that team in San Francisco, there is a lot of hope there. But, you know, I'm just saying it's still 7 games. Yeah. This has nothing to do with Jimmy G or a lot of these other quarterbacks that you watch get these humongous contracts that really haven't went and proved it.
Yeah, I agree with you also from the side of giving them all this money, because my brother is one of these guys that has a ton of money. He's on the list. Every time we throw a list up there, I get concerned because you look at Brady, right? He's not even close to the top paid guy. You can bring other guys around them and help them make their team better. So that's where I get concerned about giving these guys all that money up front on teams that aren't very good or not there yet. You just don't know if you're going to be able to surround them with good players after you give all this money to the quarterback. That's where I get concerned. Yeah,
the salary cap obviously sort of inhibits teams maybe that have to play one person an awful lot of money. That said, the Niners have a lot of salary cap moving forward, more than $100 million. So that list that you referenced, Mr. Carr, of the highest paid players in the league, obviously has Jimmy Garoppolo at the top right now. Stafford is second at $27 million a year. David, your brother Derek, is at third at $25. And this is all for now, because one would assume that all of these names are probably going to get bumped down that list in the months ahead, with Kirk Cousins getting set to hit the open market and Aaron Rodgers wanting a new deal. Mike Garoppolo, how are those situations impacted by what happened today?
The quarterback contracts, Lindsay, they're just a game of leapfrog. One guy jumps over the next, and it's all about whose turn it is. It's not like we start every single year and say, okay, who should be the highest paid quarterback? Because if it were, obviously Tom Brady, if he wanted it, would be up there, but Brady structures his contract to help out all those teams. Aaron Rodgers would be up there. He wasn't even on your list right there. That's how this thing works. And these guys that you talked about with Rodgers and Matt Ryan, what they're looking to do is wait for Kirk Cousins to hit the open market and set that bar, because then they can come back and say, look at my resume, look at my stats, look at the number of Super Bowls I've been to, or in the case of Rodgers, that I have won. I should jump over that bar and jump over it by a good margin. So Cousins is going to be the pace setter out there, and he's going to be the rare breed that's actually going to hit the free agent market, because a lot of times you've got franchise quarterbacks, they're either working off of their first rookie deal or maybe their second deal or maybe the franchise tag, but they're very rarely getting to the point where they hit the open market. But in Kirk Cousins' case, we're going to see that. And that's why that number is going to be $30 million per year and roughly in the area of $100 million in guarantees. Look for that to happen. We'll see who's going to be in the running there. I would say the team that many people probably aren't counting enough in the race, the Minnesota Vikings. Keep an eye on them as possible suitors for Kirk Cousins.
That would be interesting. Thank you, Mike. By the way, Kirk Cousins, who you just mentioned there, is not the only player that was impacted by that Alex Smith trade. Darrelle Revis was as well, indirectly, because the guy that the Chiefs traded for was Kendall Fuller, who is a cornerback, who will start for them now opposite Marcus Peters, leaving Revis without a job. So the future Hall of Famer cut by the team today. Of course, he won a Super Bowl with the Patriots 3 years ago, got to experience all that goes along with that, and now it is the Eagles' turn. And check out all that goes along with that. Millions of people lining the parade route and the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, a sea of humanity as far as the eye could see from the final destination at the Rocky Steps.
This is a resilient group. This is a group that fought through a lot of injury, adversity. The underdog, right? The underdog. I love these guys. We brought you guys a world championship, and just like Mr. Lurie said, we are not done yet. We have more to go, more to prove. This is our new norm.
I don't think words can really describe what is going on here today. I've never seen so many people in one spot celebrating in unity one thing. To be a part of the Philadelphia Eagles, be a part of these guys, it's one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. It is an honor for us to bring y'all to the Super Bowl. We finally did it. We're Super Bowl champs.
Y'all truly are the best football fans in the world, and you make it a joy and a pleasure to play for you. You know, from the moment I got here, I knew this was a special place. A special locker room, a special organization, special coaching, and some seriously special fans. And I knew it wouldn't take long until we were standing up here, and here we are today as world champions.
Hungry dogs run faster, and that's this team. Bottom line is, we wanted it more. All the players, all the coaches, the front office, Jeffrey Lurie, everybody wanted it more. And that's why we're up here today, and that's why we're the first team in Eagles history to hold that freaking trophy.